Provincial lawyers will have their day in court today as the charter challenge that got underway yesterday will test the constitutionality of Bill 7, known as the More Beds, Better Care Act. That is the controversial Ontario law that allows hospitals to move discharged patients to a long-term care home not of their choosing or fine them up to $400 each day that they remain in hospital. Now, lawyers for two advocacy groups that are challenging this law, the Ontario Health Coalition and the Advocacy Centre for the Elderly, they argued in court yesterday that the law itself is a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms because they say it targets elderly patients and removes their right to informed consent about where they will live and what care they receive. The province, of course, disagrees with that assessment, saying the bill is necessary to free up beds for patients needing a hospital stay, and they are expected to lay out that case today. At the time the legislation was introduced in 2022, the provincial government said that nearly 1,800 hospital beds were being taken up by someone who could have been better served in long-term care. And they say since then, few holdouts have actually been fined that $400 per day charge. Now, the judge yesterday seemed to question whether or not the evidence that the two advocacy groups were bringing forward was sufficient enough to launch a charter challenge. Members of the Advocacy Centre for the Elderly and the Ontario Health Coalition, however, in describing how the proceedings went yesterday, said that wasn't a surprise. They acknowledge that the judge asked a lot of tough questions, as was expected, and their expectations have not changed. Have a listen.
We know what's at stake. We work with the families of people who are in these terrible circumstances in the final stages of their lives, the patients themselves and their loved ones. And we know, deeply feel the suffering that they go through when they're being forced into places that they know are dangerous or not good or are far away and they won't see their loved ones. So we know what's at stake on that hand.
Now, since Bill 7 was enacted, we know that hundreds of patients have been moved. The judge yesterday was specifically questioning why there weren't more affidavits from patients' families. And advocates say while they have heard from dozens of families who have been impacted by Bill 7, they acknowledge that it is a taxing process for families to come forward. And a lot of them don't want to because their loved ones are still in a hospital or receiving care in a long-term care home, and they worry about retribution. Back to you.